Good day, everybody. Bernie Floresca from Career Services with another session of business relations. It's 2026, everybody. So on the call, we have Srilasya, Karthikeyan, and Inchara. And this is the first business relations session for the year 2026 and for the new term. So actually, thank you for joining us, Karthikeyan and Inchara. And again, thank you for coordinating this, Srilasya. I want to go around the room to kind of get a feel of what it is that, I mean, you guys obviously in your job search are at different points in your journey. Today's meeting is specifically for business relations, but our guiding principle for this calls has always been the people that show up. If they're the ones who have questions, whether it's related or not, since they showed up, we answer your questions. So let's start with Karthikeyan, perhaps. What were you expecting to get from this call today, Karthikeyan?
New year, new ideas on how to continue business relations. Yeah.
How to continue business relations. Okay, very good. New year, new ideas. So part of what we'll do is we're going to do like a business relations 101. Hopefully you're looking at it with a fresh set of eyes, to your point that it's new year, new ideas. Sometimes it could be quote unquote the same information, but because you're re-looking at it, hopefully we give you different perspectives today. Plus we have some new people to talk to. So let me go to Sri. Were there any specific expectations for today? I know you started telling me that you started connecting with some folks. Do you care to add on to that, Sri Lasya?
So with this new year, I just started like greeting with Happy New Year in after once I connected with people, and they are responding, and I was talking about their posts, and they are first for now they're really interactive with what I'm talking, just because I am not randomly asking any job or something, but it's more about what they work. So I also wanted to prepare well for upcoming career fair. So that is my expectation for this meeting.
Okay, very good. Thank you for sharing, Sri Lasya. So that's wonderful. You took advantage of the season that has come by. Plus, again, part of the design, the message design principles is that we say you become strategic in what you send out. Obviously, saying Happy New Year around, the new year, you actually expect a response back for people, and that quote unquote kind of explains why people are more responding to you versus the usual way that students in general send messages out to people on LinkedIn, especially if they're strangers. So thank you so much for that perspective. We'll dive more into that. Actually, because you shared that, Sri, I'm curious if Karthikeyan did anything similar along sending out Happy New Year messages.
Yeah, I also did the same. It was very easy to start a business relation conversation this New Year season. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm assuming you did a combination of new people and then your existing connections. So you've been sending out Happy New Year to both groups?
No, I usually send it for new connections in the,
Okay,
yeah.
okay, okay. But the point that I'm trying to make, Karthikeyan, and this is at the heart of business relations that you're being taught. Relationships always go two ways. So if you have an existing relationship, the new year is an opportunity to kind of be on their radar again because you don't reach out to them only when you need something is usually what happens. So if you have existing connections, even now on January 9th, it would still be fine to say happy 2026. I've still been doing it, sending out to people I haven't really greeted, since we all came back to work or whatever. Even though it's January 9th, it's still okay to send out happy 2026. Or you can send something out to the effect of saying, how's your new year going? It's along the same lines. Do you understand the distinction I'm trying to make, Karthikeyan?
Yes.
Okay, very good. And Devin, welcome to the call. We're just going around the room to kind of like find out the expectations. I have an idea of what it is that you wanted out of this call. Devin, welcome. But I want to go to
Oh, hello.
Inchara to give you let me give you a little breathing time. So Inchara has been listening to Sri's share and Karthikeyan share. So Inchara, what were your specific expectations today? We realized that you came to boot camp. We spoke about various topics then, but I'm curious what Inchara was expecting for today's call. And then we'll go to you, Devin.
I was told by Shri last year that you'll be guiding us about how to use AI for job search and how to use AI to refine our resumes. So I'm looking forward to that. Right.
Okay. So AI, let me put that in perspective. These regular calls are usually for business relationships, but to your point, Inchara, I have had conversations with Sri Lasya because I was personally playing with AI video during the
Mhm.
break. And part of the discussion that Sri Lasya and I had originally was that, job search is all about standing out. And with some of the tools that I was playing with, we certainly can bring that into the mix of what Sri Lasya and Karthikeyan have shared earlier. Because if you have some point of discussion, i.e., in this case for you, Inchara, you're interested about using AI to put that into the mix of conversation pieces when you reach out to people, that would be really, really good. Does that make sense, Inchara, from what you said?
Yes, it does. Yes, thank you.
Okay, cool. Because I mean, originally it was an idea for the group with Sri Lasya, but since we've been reaching out to the business relations group, and that's why Devin is here as well. So, and again, that's why I check in at the beginning of this call so that we address everybody's expectations and that we spend our hour usefully. So, thank you for sharing that, Inchara. So, Devin, I guess if you want to share with the team what your expectations were to getting on today's call.
Oh yeah. I was originally going to mostly just listen in, but I was just wondering if you, or I'm just mostly looking for like resources, mostly on interview prep and uh, guidance on finding people for cold connections.
Mm-hmm. And
Uh,
then your main point, which you kind of stipulated, number one, directly to me, and then I shared it in the LinkedIn group. Could you share that with the group again, please? Remember how you were asking whether you should focus on just going through job ads versus business relations? You want to share that with the team?
what like my thoughts on it, or like my
No,
question?
your original question. Just share the question so that everybody has context when I start diving into it and giving you answers. So share with the team what your original question was, please.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was wondering. So I've originally just been only applying to jobs, and I was wondering I should probably also try code connecting. And I was
Hmm.
wondering like how much time should I split between just code applying and
Hmm.
code connecting? So that was
Hmm.
just about it.
Very good. Karthikeyan, I don't know if you've seen some of this discussion in the LinkedIn chat. I'm assuming because you've been through the job search journey a little longer than me having worked with Devin. Would you have any insight? I mean, you don't have to answer that right now because that's the whole point of today's discussion. But I was curious if you have any insight personally from Karthikeyan's standpoint to that question that Devin just shared with us.
Yeah, I do have, but I don't remember it right now. I'll just think on
Yeah,
something and
no
then I'll
worries.
let you know. Yeah.
I was kind of like just getting you prepped so that we're going to get into the discussion shortly. So thank you, Devin. Thank you, Anchara. Thank you, Karthikeyan and Sri Lasya for sharing all your expectations for today's call. So that we start from a baseline, I would like to give a business relations 101 talk today and incorporate some of the things that everybody has shared. So let me share my screen really quick. I get too many windows floating. All righty. So I would like to get in for everybody to start from scratch, Karthikeyan, so that he gets a fresh set of eyes on the concept of business relations. This would be sort of a review for Devin with some of those concepts, because he and I have talked about it. And Inchara, you're not a total newbie to the information, because I started talking to some of these points during the boot camp. So why is business relationships, why is it important? Okay. Um, a lot of people know this topic as networking, but I personally refrain from using the term networking, because sometimes people think that it's just collecting connections. Okay. So if I have 1,000 connections, but I don't do anything with those connections, they're not any good to you in the job search process. So I want to focus on the piece that you need to do with your connections, specifically create business relationships with those connections so that it forwards you in your job search. So just a little privy to this, we're speaking of business relations in the context of helping you in job search, but actually once you guys are in your careers, which I expect you guys to be eventually after you find your first job, business relations will also help you with promotions, or will also help you when you're looking for connections in other fields, or maybe you want to start a business, because it's really people that move you forward into whatever it is that you're up to. However, our discussion today revolves specifically around job search. So Srilasha, please feel free to jump in anytime if I miss anything, because I know you're the one of the experts so far, having learned this information. Just a little background information about Srilasha. Srilasha is just about to enter her third term, but just like you guys, she was at one point a novice to this concept, but she has strived to understand it. She's been applying it, and she's actually getting into the nuances, and she has gotten results out of it. And the hope is that everybody learns the information and applies it. And just like Devin asking, should he just go with the regular job search, or should he expand his job search by including this concept that we're speaking about today? So agree or disagree? What do you think, Inchara? The US is a referral-based market. What do you say?
To an extent, it is, but it is not completely referral based.
Say some more, please.
Um, it depends. It depends on the job that we are applying for. It depends on the role, and every job is not referral based. Bernie, I don't think it is true.
Yeah, I guess we're not saying that every job. The statement says the U.S. is a referral-based job market. We're not saying every job is gotten through a referral. Do you see the difference? So I focus the statement again from your perspective. We're saying that the U.S. is a referral-based market. So is that true or false? I think I know the answer to this based on your qualification statements. So is that a yes or no to you? Oh, okay. I guess she refrains to answer that question based on her qualification. Or what's going on, Inchara?
Yes, I agree to some extent that
Good.
yes, US is the
Yes. All right. I will take your I agree, and I will ignore to some extent that you're saying right now, because that's not the topic for today's discussion. Okay. The US is generally a referral based market, and part of why we're teaching you this information, because Devin, for example, without Bernie Floresca talking about the ability to create relationships with strangers, you are really stuck with what I like to call the old method, or the only method that most people know. And what is that? You go to the job boards, you look for the job openings, you apply for it, you go through the job process, and then cross your fingers expecting to get a job. Is that correct, Inchara?
Yes, true.
Yes. So without us talking about this concept of business relations, the only choice that you guys have is really to just go to the job boards and go through the usual case. So Srilasha, go ahead, please.
So I agree with that US is a referral based job market because right now, like, we are seeing most of jobs are getting filled within 20 minutes of posting on LinkedIn or anywhere on job portals. And we also can relate with that. Like, if someone knows us, if they know our skills and our projects and everything, they are going to talk with their internal team, or they're going to refer us because they know us. So, and that is why we also have to apply for job applications on portals, but it's also quite important and more important to connect with people and learn from them, and share your ideas, and they get to talk about themselves. And after that exchange of things, you can able to they might refer us if we are something that we are looking, and they are going to offer a job.
Yes, thank you, Srilasha. So to the point that you made earlier, Inchara, where that every job isn't referral based, all we're stating is that aside from the quote unquote old way of applying to jobs, we're giving you an additional tool such that, to Srilasha's point, that it expands your toolbox, if you will, of how to find a job. So Devin, I want to hear your reaction to what we've shared so far.
Oh yeah. I have looked through these. What was it? This was on the index. I remember this. The referral based market, and yeah, I definitely do agree. There's a lot of, like, I'm imagining from a hiring manager's perspective, like, trust is a big factor, because a lot of the applications that you get, you're not sure. Like, people can definitely just lie on those, and you don't want to waste time figuring out if
Yes.
people are lying or not. So having a trusted person who might not be perfect is sometimes just better and more efficient.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that perspective, Devin. And you actually brought to mind an article that our executive director, BJ, just shared with the career services team. It was information to the effect that employers were saying that the old ways of trying to screen students, all right, the usual cover letters, the resumes, they were saying that because of artificial intelligence, all of the information started looking the same. So for the people listening in and to the people on this call, I'm going to share that article fairly shortly. And to the point that Inchara made earlier, if employers are saying that all the applicants are kind of like looking the same and they're having difficulty finding out the candidates, et cetera, to Devin's point, that there's a trust factor, okay, not necessarily from the personal trust factor, but from the perspective of people presenting what they truly are. Okay, if I use artificial intelligence to create a persona that's not really me, so that I look good on paper, and then the company gets to hire you, and you're not the persona that they envisioned because you used artificial intelligence. So this whole discussion kind of goes down into a whole rabbit hole. So thank you for those perspectives, Devin. Karthikeyan, stand by. Let me go back to continue the business relations standpoint, unless anybody had something hot that they wanted to mention. So let me go back to this. We're saying that the US is a highly based referral market, and then people agree, and then they say, well, how do you address that? The usual answer is just network more. Okay. People just say, go make connections. And this is the difference between me and having the advice of people just saying, just network more. I say, focus on creating more business relationships. And hence, that's why we have the next slide that says, when people say just network more, what you really need to focus on is creating those relationships with people to facilitate you getting in front of those people. So I want to hear a perspective from Karthikeyan really quickly as to how this has kind of like helped you, and then stand by, Srilasha, from your personal experiences. And Devin, feel free to chime in, because I know you're you're actually you have a job right now, you can are out of school, but I'm sure there are parallels into your current job where you see this happening. So, Karthikeyan, how do you think this has shifted your perspective from having learned it and applying some of it? And if you haven't gotten results yet, how do you see it getting you results?
Yeah, I actually made some network and business relationship with new people. The main thing here works is that instead of directly uh, going to a stranger and asking them for a referral or something, making a relationship and making them confident in ourselves to them matters here. And they like as you said earlier that referrals are earned and not asked. So that mainly works here. I also see, like, yeah, even if we try to reach out new people, new connections or something, but most of them doesn't work, which has happened to me most of the times. But keeping on trying and keeping on investing a new type of technique or new type of search or something will help us in this journey.
Yes. Thank you for that perspective, Karthikeyan. Srilasya or Devin, anything to add to that? And then I want to hear what Intera is digesting so far with this discussion. So, Srilasya or Devin, anything to add?
Not really, not right now.
Okay.
I
Intera.
add one
Oh,
point.
Sri, go ahead.
So when we are connecting with people, sometimes we will get the rapport with particular person, and we don't get that kind of connection with a different kind with different person. So we don't have to like stick with one person. We just have to move on. We need to connect as many as people that we can. Let's say you are applying for Google company, so there are like thousands of people who are working in that company. So if you find that one person is not talking with you, or maybe you don't have any common things to talk, that's fine. Like we can just move on to other person and share like just look at their LinkedIn profile and see if you can talk about. You don't have to like DM all the time. You can just give a comment on their post. That is fine. The idea is to just be interactive and just stay in their um, close connection. That's it.
Very good. Thank you, Sri. So, Intera, what are you getting from everything that we've talked about so far?
Yeah, I understood that referrals really do work, especially, LinkedIn connections can help us, answer our questions by expanding our network and also give insights about, job opportunities in their company, in their industrial knowledge. And but what really depends is who we connect to and how we engage with them. Like
Very good.
accepting like strategic connections, making them. Yeah, that
Yes.
helps.
That's a wonderful point, Inchara. It depends on who it is that you're connecting to. So, aside from who it is that you're connecting to, Srilasa alluded to some of that. It depends on the quality of the relationship that you created with that person so far. And part of what we teach with this business relations body of work at Illinois Tech really helps you whenever you get stuck. Like I said earlier when we started this call, different people are at various levels in their journey with job search in general, but are also various levels in their journey specifically with business relations. That's why perspective from Karthikeyan was also very important. So Devin, what do you think you're concluding now from the guiding of yourself, having read some of the answers to your question in the group, but the original premise that we started this call on? So we said that without introducing or focusing the concept on the concept of business relations, everything you really have along the lines of job search is really just go to the job boards, apply, and then cross your fingers that you get the job. So, what is your perspective now in that we're giving you an additional tool, also known as business relations, to add to your toolbox, if you will?
It is definitely another tactic that will be
Hmm?
helpful.
Mhm.
Wait, so I'm kind of just wondering, like, what are we kind of hoping for when you make these connections?
Very good question. So, Inchara, I don't know if you remember, but during the boot camp, I shared that the reason I got this job as a career coach at Illinois Tech was because I applied exactly what you're being taught right now. Okay. Emily Ginger at the time was a PhD student who was working in career services. Emily Ginger is one of our career coaches. All right. However, what I'm kind of like sharing you, Bernie was an outsider to Illinois Tech. Okay. At that point in time, I had a product called Graduate to Hire that I was trying to syndicate at various universities. One of the universities I reached out to was Illinois Institute of Technology. And one of the directors that I reached out to is our executive director, BJ. Okay, so two players in the picture so far. My quote unquote target was BJ Engelhart, the ultimate decision maker, and part of the person that I created business relations to facilitate my search of the job was Emily Ginger, who happened to work with BJ at the time. So long story short, I got to know Emily, got through business relations, yada, 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 back and forth, talk to Emily. Hey, this is what I did. This is what I did. Create the personal relationship. So long story short, after I got the visibility with BJ, I mean, I've been working here since June of 2022. And all of this because of me applying what you're being taught today, i.e. business relations. So Devin, is that one solid example that kind of gives you an idea of what could be accomplished with this concept?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
that's one example.
Let me give you a second example. Okay. I
Okay.
was applying to a company called Sprint, business to business. Okay. Sprint business. It was a sales position. So I was at one job at some point, and then one of the issues when you're looking for a job, and for example, you don't like the current I didn't like the company that I was at. That's why I was applying to Sprint at the time. Okay. So, long story short, the problem with jumping from one company to the other, especially if the reason you're moving is because of company culture, the last thing I wanted was to leave my old job and then go into Sprint and to find out that the culture was just as bad as where I came from. Come in business relations. So I applied the strategies that are being shared with you guys. I went to LinkedIn. I looked for people in the group that I was applying to on LinkedIn. I actually reached out to 5 people who worked at Sprint. Out of the 5 people, only one person responded. But here's what happened, Devin. This person actually, number one, she said, my original question was like, hey, I'm reaching out to you. I actually applied for a job at Sprint. I'm reaching out because I'm curious, because the last thing I want to do is jump out of one frying pan, and I want to make sure that Sprint is an environment that I want to work at. So this one person who responded said, sure. She was like, aside from telling you what I think of this culture at Sprint right now, number one, I will even help you with the application process, which she actually did. She actually helped me and said, hey, this is what you expect next. This is what the interview looks like. So to make the long story short, because of that outreach, number one, I made the connection. I networked, made that connection, but I created a business relationship with this person such that she kind of helped me get the job at Sprint. So I just gave you 2 examples, Devin. That's Bernie Floresca's personal example of using business relations. Any questions about that so far, Devin, or anybody else?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I mean, I just have like comments.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Or
'Cause, yeah,
questions. I mean, this is about you, man. I want this to
yeah.
sink in your psyche. If you have questions, we want to answer them. So
Yeah. So like the way that you kind of frame it as business relations, it seems so like formal. But like the way that you kind of go through it, it seems more casual, I guess, like more
it is
kind of
casual.
buddy.
It is
Yeah.
casual, and I assert that your thinking that it's formal is a Devon thing.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
so but I like that you made that distinction during this call. You're right. Business relations sounds like a mouthful, right? And then to your point, it does sound formal, but you're absolutely right. It's I think Inchara, if you remember this from the boot camp, this is what I said during the boot camp, Devin. Business relations is just like making friends. Do you have you have friends, Devin, I assume, right?
Yeah.
So think of one specific friend. Do you have that friend in mind right now?
Yeah.
Okay. So that person that you're thinking of, I would assert at one point was a stranger to you, true or false?
Yep.
It's true, right? So how did you become, from total stranger into a person who became your friend? Something had to occur, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm likening business relations to really just making friends, just in the professional context. And actually, it's much, much easier because when you come into the personal realm, there's like much, much more at stake, personalities, et cetera, et cetera. In the business world, it's much, much easier. They just have to like you in the professional context. Make sense?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I was actually gonna say the exact same thing, where it was like it is like making friends.
It is making friends. And to your point, you're right. It is casual. It's not as formal as the mouthful business relations make it seem like. So I'm glad you brought that up because if you're thinking that, Devin, I'm sure some of the people on this call or even the people who listen in afterwards could possibly think the same thing. So let's repeat what you just said. The whole concept is just like making friends, just in a professional setting. And it is casual. Okay. The only thing that you have to remember is it has to stay within the bounds of professionalism. So thank you for sharing that concept, Devin. Srilasa, go ahead, please.
I wanted to add a point with that conversation that you had. So I know a person that I met by volunteering in a event, and I connected with her on LinkedIn. She is from different university, so she started some open source hackathon type of thing, like where everyone can participate and win some prizes after the deadline is done. So she also volunteered in a couple of events where she connected with few people who have their own startups. And when she posted that she is looking for contributors to code to like involve in that hackathon, the entire team, the like I know like the some of them who have the startups that she knows, so the entire team posted that and reached out to their community and asked them to join in that hackathon. So like instead of thinking like that we are doing for the job, like everyone are doing for the job, it's not about us, or it's not about us as a students or even working professionals in networking events, they do the same thing. But here in adding to that, she formed a relationship with people who have their own community, and they are helping her, and they even offered a job in one of the startup that they have. So right now she is having their her own startup, and she is working in another startup. So it's more than that. It's more than just building relations. It's supporting each other. It's like it's similar to friends, but as Bernie mentioned, it's more like professional setup.
Great share. Thank you, Srilasa. Devin, another perspective. Was that good?
Yeah.
Cool.
I just want to like clarify a bit more. So okay, so definitely when you like send out these connections, and then even when you
Mhm.
make the connections, it's not a guarantee that something will happen. So it's just kind of like you're hoping something will happen, and it's okay if it doesn't. But
Yeah.
that's why you're sending out a lot of connection requests.
Correct. And
Okay.
like my example for Sprint, right? I sent out to 5 people. I got 1 response back. That's quite good. It's 20%, right? It's not always like that. Okay. But again, back to the original, without applying what we're learning today, all you really have is the quote unquote old way. Just go through the job ads and then expect to get a job. So, I mean, job search in general, there are no guarantees in job search. So, just like anything else, so is business relations. But the whole point is you're raising your odds by adding yet another tool to your job search toolbox. Cool.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. A lot of
So
numbers.
it's a lot of numbers, but you could also be like me. I got lucky, right? I reached out to 5. I got 1 response. They actually helped me get the job. You never know. So another student that I had difficulty teaching this concept to, and I guess I'm getting into the nuances. He knew of the concept of reaching out, but long story short, this particular student reached out to a vice president of the company, and guess what the vice president said? The vice president was the person who initiated and said, "Hey, how about you and I get on a Zoom call?" So the whole point of the story is you never know what's on the other side of the door. Reactions from Karthikeyan, Inchara? No? Okay. Otherwise, we'll continue. So we kind of like talked about the concept of business relations. I'm showing the rest of the slides so that Srilasa, you know why I'm showing you this stuff, right? Because it's kind of going through the flow. So what I'm going to do next is go through the actual information, and David alluded to part of it, saying that he actually went through the index, et cetera, because that's really what the rest of this is. But let's cover the slide really quickly because it speaks to some of the points Devin was making. So, Devin, what are your thoughts? I mean, this is exactly what you said. Job search is an art. Okay. You never know whether you get 20% or you get 1% or if people are going to respond to you. That's why we're just giving you additional tools so that any advice that's given to you is, again, it's not a direct, if you do X, you get Y. It's really an art. Okay. And then it's your job search, it's your call. And I appreciate the fact that you're asking questions, Devin, like, should I do 50-50 of my time as far as, spending some time on business relations versus just the old way of doing things? And my personal perspective to your question, Devin, is if there is another way that it's going to raise my odds, I would spend more time on it. And that's why my percentages would be 50 with the old way, and I'd do 50% on this new way that's being taught to you. Okay. But it's your job search. We're giving you the tools. Whatever you decide to do, it's your call. Okay. And then this whole premise in the third check mark that you're seeing, always think like the hiring manager and always make it about them. So when you're creating relationships with the other party, a rule of thumb is in order for you to be relevant, because of the saturation of the job market and because there are so many job seekers reaching out to the same exact people, at some point in time, when people start talking about me and you help me find a job, they kind of screen you out. But when you twist it around and you make it about them and you talk about them versus focusing on you, and this is what Karthikeyan alluded to earlier, when I open up a conversation with a stranger and it's not about, hey, stranger, help me find a job, but it's more of like, hey, stranger, I'd like to create a relationship with you, not necessarily said in those words, but say something to the effect of, hey, stranger, I saw on your LinkedIn profile that you play tennis. Actually, I'm an avid tennis player as well. It gives you a different way to approach the job search. Okay. And then informational interview, I won't go into that. Srilasa, we may have to get rid of that, but let's go into the tools now for LinkedIn. So Inchara, I think you're part of the LinkedIn group, right?
I don't think so. Let me join.
You did or did not?
I,
Sorry?
I'm not a part of the group.
Okay, good. So if you're not part of the group, all you need to do on LinkedIn is just type in Illinois Tech Career Services like this, and there will be two entries that show up. One entry is a people entry, and the other entry, this is the people entry, okay? But if you happen to hit the people entry, all you need to do is hit this part here that says IIT LinkedIn Group, and it goes to the same thing. Like when I say Illinois Tech Career Services, and then I click all results, and then I click groups. LinkedIn isn't cooperating today. Notice that there is Illinois Career Services, the group version this time. So Inchara, you want to be part of this group because all the resources, and Devin alluded to it, he's actually used some of this information. So here's the importance of why you want to join this group. Actually, I'm going to let Srilasa take over for us.
So in this group, you get to see our IIT alumni, and you get to see recruiters that usually attend our career fairs. So you can join, you can connect with them and use this tag that you are part of a same LinkedIn group, or you can just select whatever you want to talk based on their profile, based on their activity, and if they are someone from our university, just talk about their education that they did in Illinois Tech. Anything that is something that you feel they will like. And not all the time we know what they're going to interest to talk about, and that is fine. Like Devin mentioned, we don't know what to talk or like how to talk, but we need to develop a mindset that we are not expect at first we are not expecting anything in return from them. If you have that mindset, you don't prove yourself, you don't want to prove yourself right away that you meet any person, so that you stay low key, and then after some time you get to talk about you. But at first, just talk about them and know more about them so that you have questions to talk later.
Very good. Thank you, Srilasa. So just to get into the mechanics of this, Inchara, once you're part of the group, all you have to do is scroll down. And if you notice, it says 24/7 LinkedIn Index. We purposely put that in the comments of any post in this group. If you notice, there's the index again. There's the index again. Oh, no, that wasn't the index. All you have to do is just scroll down until you see it. And when you see it, you click it. This website shows up. What this website does is there's even a video as to how to use it. And then you have the topics that you guys come to career services for. Alumni, business relations, one of the most popular topics, LinkedIn, resume. So you get to click any of this. And when you click any of these topics, this document shows up and it says index. This index is available to you 24/7. And if you notice, I clicked resume earlier and it's taking me to the resume section. Okay, so Inchara, Devin, when we started out with this document, it was not an index, so it was not designed as an index. However, once we shared it with students were like, "Wow, what a wealth of information!" So we had to figure out a way to make the information accessible. So one of the easiest ways to do was to put a hash mark, a hashtag in front of the topic, so that when you do a Control F or a Command F, and I want to find out information about hash LinkedIn, you have the topic there, or say hashtag international. You could easily find the section of the document. Okay, but we're in hashtag business relations today. So let's go to business relations. Inchara, let me know if you're not following this stuff, okay? Because Karthikeyan and Devin know how their way around this. You're the newest person here, so I want to make sure you understand what's going on, okay?
Yeah, I'm getting it, Bonnie.
Okay, very good. So under hashtag business relations, where everybody wants to start, and it's highlighted in yellow, is this document called Advocates, review for Karthikeyan and Devin. When you click Advocates, this one talks, there's a video that explains this. The video is very similar to this discussion that we had today, but it kind of like sticks to the basics. This how-to document actually points back to the index, and under hashtag business relations, you see this third bullet that says connect cold, connect practice, connect messaging is actually what that second document is alluding to. This how-to piece is really this document that says connect cold, connect practice, and connect messaging. Focus on the keywords cold, practice, messaging. Those are actually groups of messages that you will see here. And if you go further down, there's a group of messages called connect messaging. There's a group of messages called connect practice. And there's a group of messages called connect cold. So connect cold are suggestions on how to open the conversation with a stranger. So before I go to the suggestions, I want to cover this first document, and you will recognize this Inchara from the bootcamp. Do you remember me sharing this during the bootcamp, Inchara?
I do. Yes, Burn.
Okay. So just for background, for the people listening into this for the first time, the example that you're seeing on the board is a data science manager at a very big company who had just put out an ad for a job. Okay, I repeat, very big company, Google, data science manager who just put an ad on Google. And then the Illinois Tech student sends this message to this manager. So the question that I asked during the bootcamp that I know Inchara remembers is, why is this type of message inefficient? So what do you remember from that discussion, Inchara? Why was this ineffective?
I'm not able to recall, Bernie. I'm sorry.
You don't remember? How about Karthikeyan and Devin?
Oh, it's very direct with your purpose.
It's very direct with your purpose. And guess how many direct with your purpose this manager just got, because she works for a big company. So imagine 500 or 1,000 messages saying, hey, manager, help me, help me, help me, help me. I have a question about the job opening that you have. So if you, the message that you're seeing is quite intuitive, Inchara, would you agree? This makes sense to send. Would you agree?
Yes, yes.
However, in the situation, because this manager is getting a flood of the same type of message, even though it's intuitive, it's not very effective. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. Devin, anything else to add to that, or even Karthikeyan?
I
No.
also think that the message is like very, very long, and
Yes.
they will not even have time to go through fully or something.
Yes, very good that you said that. So if you take a look at my inbox on the right, I can tell who sent me a long message or not. Okay. These are all outbound messages. I've been doing business relations for myself, actually. And if you notice, my outboxes are me just sending out a message. These are just follow-ups. Okay. But that's another point of discussion for this group. Okay. But I practice what I preach. Okay, you guys are looking for a job. I'm looking to expand my business. Therefore, my outreach has to do with my business, but the same concept applies. When I'm reaching out to a stranger, I'm trying to make friends with them. In your case, it's job search. In my case, it's about business. So I have to find out a way to be friends with them before I even talk about what I need. Make sense, Inchara?
Yes, Burn.
Okay, cool. So I realized that we're kind of like coming up to the top of the hour. So back to what we said earlier, everything that was wrong with this wrong way are fixed by the suggestions that we have in Connect Cold. But again, I repeat that you guys wanted to check that document that said the video, how to, and then there's even a template as to how to create because if you're going to start out to make a lot of connections, we're suggesting that you have a spreadsheet so that you can follow up with some of these people. Okay. This next thing that you're seeing is a playlist of recordings that talk about the same information, because we have weekly meetings as long as we have people attending. Because one of the things that we observed in Chara is the concept that we're teaching today isn't really very difficult. However, once you start applying it, people get ghosted, or people make a connection with you and then they don't chat with you. So when we were talking about Connect Cold, Connect Practice is just people who were identified for you that you can practice these concepts on. And then the last piece that I spoke about, when students start applying, these concepts, they get ignored, or they open the door with the person that they're speaking to, but they get stuck. So all of these things under Connect Messaging help you along the lines when you're stuck. And also that is why we have these weekly meetings, so that whenever people have questions with their outreach, and this is what Karthikeyan was saying earlier. Karthikeyan has joined us, just like Srilasa, in attending these calls because he's been applying this and sometimes he gets stuck. Do you want to speak to some of the stuck experiences that you had, Karthikeyan, really quickly, to give Inchara and Devin a context?
Yeah, I had stuck with some of the people whom I really wanted to connect at the time of when I apply a job, and then I search a
Like,
relevant
how are
person
you
and things.
stuck? Give them an example. How are you stuck?
Yeah, I just wanted to start a conversation in them, and I almost tried for a person for four times or something, and then I again joined the business relations Zoom session, and again I gave a new message to the same person, but there was no reply from there. And so what I would try to tell is that even if you don't get or something, please don't go down and try to make some other new connections which would really help you. So
Yes. Try to make those connections, or bring the specific case to Bernie or anybody in this group, because this is what this group is for. We're sharing best practices. I obviously have the most experience with this, but Srilasya and Karthikeyan obviously have built up their arsenal of experiences and how they broke through some of those experiences. So you see the value in why we have these calls regularly. So number one, you can bring it to a subject matter expert like myself, who has been doing this for a while. Number two, we have people who are learning the same information and have some experiences. So when we have a collective group of people focused on the same information, we're bound to have best practices, or cutting edge best practices, that we could share amongst ourselves. So I think I'm going to end that with opening it up for questions. And then I was going to just answer a little bit Inchara's expectation about how to use artificial intelligence to give her an edge in job search. So any general questions or comments so far with the information shared?
Yeah, well, I just have a quick question. So,
Go ahead.
what are like the types of people you're looking for? Like when you're trying to co-connect, like how do I get started? Oops.
Very good question. If we had more time, I would actually say, Devin, okay, give me a dream company. And then we would go on LinkedIn. Let's just say Devin said Google. I would go into Google, the LinkedIn group. And then once you're in the group, it shows people. And then you would open up the people. And then the quick answer to your question, Devin, is find alum at the company, because your opening line could be like, hey, I see you graduated from the university in, 2019 or something like that. Right? And it creates an instant background of relatedness.
Oh, okay.
So that was a quick answer for you. Low hanging fruit, alum.
Okay. Oh, should the company have like open positions?
No. Remember when I told you about Illinois Tech? The job for career coach did not exist when I reached out to Illinois Tech. But guess what happened? Because of creating those job relationships, and to your point, to some people who are kind of like dying to get a job and then they're trying to apply business relations, this wouldn't be the strategy I would apply. The whole point of applying business relations is you're reaching out to look for a job when you don't need it. So in your case, Devin, because you're hot on the trail to find a job, you could use it. Actually, I'm glad that you brought that up. Okay, remember to the 50-50 question that you had originally? That may not necessarily apply to Devin, because I just realized that, I mean, you've been on the job market for a little bit. So I guess let's change that. Because of that realization, I would go 70 or even 80% and then use business relations or in your downtime. Okay. Because here's the thing, Devin. Okay. If you're not finding jobs to apply to because companies aren't posting, then what are you to do? Twiddle your thumbs. However, with your knowledge of business relations, you get to do something proactive and reach out to the companies that you do want a job at. Make sense?
Okay, yeah.
So that just occurred to me when I said business relations. And I guess that's why we said job search is an art. It's not 100% for every situation. So for Srilasya, for example, who's still a student, this is awesome because she has all this time to create relationships ready for when she graduates in a year. Okay, but for Devin, for example, who already graduated but is on a hot trail to find a job immediately, I mean, I wouldn't do business relations 100%. And now that I think about it, I wouldn't even do 50%. But what I'm saying is in your downtime where there are no jobs to apply to, use this because you get to be proactive with business relations. That makes sense?
Yeah, that sounds good.
More questions?
No.
Cool. Karthikeyan, did we give you fresh eyes today in today's discussion?
Yeah, it was good.
Okay, so Inchara, I'm going to address that. And this is what I wanted to discuss if we didn't have any other students who wanted to talk about business relations. So if you guys go to my profile, if you notice, even my profile picture is AI generated. Okay, it came from an app called Sora. So if you go to some of the posts that I shared recently on LinkedIn, you go to show all posts. And if you go to, let me just get rid of some of these floating windows. If you guys have to leave at the top of the hour because you have other commitments, like I know Devin has a job and other commitments, you won't hurt my feelings if you just drop off. But I want to address Inchara's AI thing really quick. So this video was AI generated as well. Actually, you may be able to see it. So this app called Sora, I'm wondering if I actually included, no, I didn't. Yeah, well, actually it's on Facebook. So again, my application is business, but I want you guys to think of how you could use this for job search. Oh, I forgot to share with sound. So 1 second. I'm not even sharing, am I? Am I sharing?
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
Hang on. That's the problem when you kill the windows. I want to share with sound. Share sound. Share. And then play. Oh, I have to make the sound open. So this is for my business. Okay, so that's one application. Inchara, just to give you an idea of, I posed the question to Srilasya over the break saying, hey, have you seen some of the playing around that I've done on AI as an application for my business? And then I started the conversation saying, hey, don't you think this would be a way to stand out when you're looking for a job? So here's the other thing. You remember how we had the Happy New Year conversation in the beginning? So if you take a look at my content, that's AI generated also through Sora. That's AI generated also to Sora. But here's a much, much easier thing to share with you to the point that we discussed earlier. Actually, this is kind of Karthikeyan. Remember how you're sending out messages saying Happy New Year? This actually is a Happy New Year
Your
message.
goals around.
And this was all.
New Year asks the same old question. Who will carry your dream forward? The world will offer maps, advice, distractions, but the turning point isn't out there. It's you. You are the magic that will turn your goals around.
Did you guys see that? So I'm thinking in my mind, if I were a student and then I sent something like this, which was like a general message, but it's aligned with just greeting somebody Happy New Year, I'm kind of suggesting some ways that this could be used for job search. Is that making sense, Inchara?
Yes, Bernie. But what I actually wanted was not generating videos like this,
Well, it's
but
an idea. I mean, when you
yeah,
said AI, I mean, I totally agree with you. I'm just saying AI in general. I just happen to be showing you video. So let's answer your question. So were you thinking of AI like ChatGPT?
um, no, not just generative AI, but I've seen people um using AI tools for job search, not just ChatGPT, but
Ah,
in
gotcha.
AI tools in general.
Yeah. So AI tools in general, that actually you guys can learn that on your own from the standpoint of using it in general. But I can see how you have that question because you're brand new to the university, just starting out, et cetera, et cetera. We don't necessarily teach that because there's a network of people. What career services wants to do is to lead you from the cutting edge. You see the difference of information, Inchara? I mean, AI has been around since the end of 2023. So if we start teaching you how to use those tools to get that, we're not really teaching you cutting edge information.
I can share the post that you forwarded like last semester about how we can use AI for the job search. I'll share with Injara.
Were you sharing that now, Sri? Or
Yeah, I'm going to need some time to look for that link. You don't mute.
Inchara, I guess Srilasya remembers when we talked about it from the expectation that you had. Okay.
Like what I actually wanted was like, how can AI help in personalizing the job matches or, streamlining the resume or cover pages,
Yeah.
preparing for mock interviews?
Yeah, actually, that wasn't necessarily the topic that we wanted to discuss. We wanted to discuss AI and how to differentiate you from the other job applicants. So the point that you're bringing out, Inchara, is how everybody uses AI to facilitate the job search. Okay. And what we're endeavoring to teach you is how to stand out. You kind of see the difference between what you were raising. So Srilasya says she has some information with that. And I suppose if we get more people, I mean, like this on this call, you're kind of like one amongst 4 students. So it would be hard for me to just kind of like zoom in on that. But Inchara, if you get a group of students who really want to talk about that, we can definitely focus on it. But we were really more from the standpoint of job search is all about standing out. So the context when we said AI is not necessarily how is everybody else using using AI to facilitate my job search. It was more of how do you use AI to stand out. Are you seeing the distinction, Inchara?
Yeah, I get the difference.
Yeah, but like you said, if we have a group of students, let's just say all the students today were expecting that call, we could definitely dive into it. Obviously, we would have to prepare more for it, but that wasn't necessarily the intent for today's call. So Inchara, if you had more interest in that and you had more students who wanted those lines, or actually even Devin or Karthikeyan, if they wanted some more of that information, we certainly could have a session to address that specifically. But it looks like Sri's going to get back to you with some of that information.
Yeah.
Final
I'll
questions.
connect with her.
Thank you, Sri. Final questions? No, Devin already dropped. So thank you everybody for attending. If you need anything directly, Inchara, I'm going to send you a message directly. Everybody who joins the LinkedIn group gets a message from me that shows you how to use the material, plus an invite to you to connect to me, such that when people have direct questions, and you saw how we set this up earlier, when people are doing their outreach and then they get stuck, people can message me directly. And Karthikeyan knows that. He's experienced some of those direct conversations with me on LinkedIn. So thank you,
Yes,
everybody.
thank you.
Today's session. We'll send out the recording shortly, and then stay tuned to this meeting again next week. So, bye, everybody.
Bye, bye, Bud. Bye, Shri.